came and where I thought he had crashed, sure enough, he was laying here. He's about 30 yards into this thick stuff, and man, I am just thrilled to death to finally get old Crazy Horns. It's an awesome day. February 8th.
February 8th, only took 4 years.
Only took 4 years to get him. Wow. Well, Crazy Horn spent most of his time on properties around where my wife and I live. In 2019, I believe he was a 3.5-year-old. He had a fairly typical set of horns. He had a split brow tine on his right side that was kind of unique. January 21st of 2020 was the first time I shot him. And every time I say that, it just sounds wrong. It's sad, but it happened. And he lived through it. He came up very quickly that afternoon. He spooked and stopped. Perhaps I shouldn't have shot, but I did. I don't know exactly what happened during the flight of the arrow, but it hit him in the right hindquarter, and the arrow practically bounced off. 4 years later, I verified that the arrow hit squarely on the leg bone just above the upper leg joint. Immediately, the deer lunged forward and hit the ground. Unfortunately, he was behind a tree and a follow-up shot was not possible. He stayed on the ground for probably half a minute, and then he got up and started hobbling off. I finally remembered to turn the camera on, and you can see in the video that he was limping. He took several minutes to move out of sight. Later that night, my brother and I searched for the buck for several hours. In all that time, we found probably a total of a tablespoon of blood. I didn't see the buck again that year or get any game camera pictures of him. For the 2020-21 season, he had a typical right side, but the left side looked more like a grappling hook than an antler. So I referred to him as the buck with the crazy horn. In 2021-2022, he had a very similar rack, but much larger. I got some game camera video of him during that year and verified that he walked with a little bit of a limp. So I knew this was the deer that I shot in 2020. For the 2022-23 season, Crazy Horns had a big, heavy right side, and his left side was a main beam with a drop tine. That year, I had a couple of close encounters with him. Once, he took several minutes to work his way across a food plot to about 25 yards as I ran out of shooting light. Another time, I saw him cruising through the timber at about 75 yards. But on the afternoon of January 27th, 2023, I thought I was going to get a shot at him. He first showed up pushing a doe around at about 50 yards. After a few minutes, he left the doe and headed toward a feeder. As he came closer, it's almost like he knew where I was and he was baiting me to move. When he turned away, I started to draw because sometimes a deer leaving like this will stop and turn just a little to look back. But when he looked back, he saw that I looked different than I had before, and he didn't want any part of it. He didn't go far, and a few minutes later he was pushing the doe again. Then in the 2023-24 season, his left side was more normal and his right brow tine had a little bit of a split. At this point, I believe he was a 7.5-year-old. It's almost unbelievable that he managed to live that long. I planted iron clay peas during the summer of 23, and Crazy Horns fed on those peas most every afternoon during the late summer. When hunting season rolled around, I had stands in several places that I had never hunted before. I focused a lot of effort toward making Crazy Horns one of the 3 bucks that I was allowed to kill in Alabama. I was very deliberate about not hunting a stand when the wind was wrong, and I did not overhunt my property. You might say that he had become a great white whale. On the afternoon of December 8th, a big-bodied 3-year-old, a 6-point, came to a feeder that Crazy Horns often came to. I decided that I wanted to go ahead and shoot this 6-point. But just before he gave me a clean shot and an opportunity to draw, I heard something over my left shoulder. The 6-point even looked in that direction. My first thought was, Crazy Horns is coming. So when the 6-point gave me an opportunity to draw, it came and went, and Crazy Horns never showed.
January 7th.
And there were other opportunities that I passed. My brother said this was the luckiest buck in the world. I saw crazy horns 4 times this year without an opportunity for a shot. But on February 8th, I hunted a stand for the first time ever in a narrow strip of privet between 2 food plots, and the 5th encounter with crazy horns was different.
Well, I hope that video took. I think I just shot crazy. Well, I know I shot crazy horns. I think I just killed him. Wow. That is one big animal. It didn't look like I got as much penetration as I would hope, but maybe that's just the bow hunter trying to think of all the things that could have gone wrong. It sounded good. I know I hit him in the rib cage. Haven't had a chance to look at any of the videos, so I don't know if I got anything, but I heard him go out here in some thick stuff and crash for a little ways, and then the crashing stopped. I don't know if that means he went down or if he got through it and got over into the woods on the neighbor's property there, but wow, that'd be the biggest deer I've ever killed, and a deer that I've been chasing for about 4 years now. This is gonna be an awesome story to tell. Just praying that I'll find him. Stay tuned. I'll keep you posted. Came in and got the video on the computer, and the deer makes a really big mule kick right after he's hit there, and so I'm sure I killed him. I don't know how easy it's going to be to find him. When I got down, I looked for blood, and there wasn't any within 5 yards of where I shot him, but the hit was kind of high. He was really close. It was high, angling down and forward in his body, so there may not be a lot of blood. Well, I'm getting ready to go back here and recover this deer. It will have been about 2 hours since I shot when I go back there. After looking at the video, and I'm confident he's back there. I think I know where he's laying, but you can never be too careful, especially with a big deer like this. This time of year, they can do amazing things, and so I hope I don't go back there and be disappointed that he went a lot further than I expected, but we'll see. That's always part of the adventure. Wow, my old buddy Bob's back here with me. We came and where I thought he had crashed, sure enough, he was laying here. He's about 30 yards into this thick stuff, and man, I am just thrilled to death to finally get old Crazy Horns. It's an awesome day. February 8th.
February 8th, only took 4 years.
Only took 4 years to get him. Wow.